Hi everybody, and welcome back to Kat's Tiny Kitchen. I'm so glad you came to join me today. Got a really good recipe today. A couple months ago Mike and I were talking about cheesecake, and I said, you know, I really would like to make a New York style cheesecake. I haven't done it before. And lo and behold, in the mail came a springform pan for me to do it. I've got it right here. Now this is already greased up and ready to go, but how sweet was that? I love them to death. So let me get the ingredients started here for you, and we'll get this recipe going. Thank you all for coming along. Okay, so we're going to cover our ingredients, and we're going to go over the crust first. The crust we have here, we have 2 cups of graham cracker crumbs. I did not crunch these up myself, folks. I'm not patient enough to do that. I bought them already pre-crumbled. Then we've got ourselves here 1/3 cup of sugar. And we have a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And we have here 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And that's the ingredients for the crust. Let me move this out of the way. And now for the cheesecake part. I have 4 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese that have been softened to room temperature. We have 5 eggs here. I'm going to use 4 whole eggs and 1 egg yolk for the recipe. And then this is where I'll probably spill. I have 2 teaspoons of vanilla here. Be very careful. I have 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. I have 1.5 cups of sugar. Lots of sugar. I have 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. I have 1 cup of sour cream. And the last ingredient I have, it's 1 stick of butter, 1/2 cup of melted butter, and that actually goes with the recipe for the breadcrumbs. Things kind of got moved around in the kitchen while I was away. So those are all of our ingredients, so if you'll give me a minute, I'll get all of this stuff organized and we'll get the recipe going for you. So we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so we're going to start off with our crust, and the first thing we'll do is put our graham crackers, our sugar, our 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and where'd my cinnamon go? And my cinnamon in the pan. We're going to mix this up just a little bit to get it a little incorporated. And now we're going to go ahead and add the butter. This is the binder. A lot of people these days are using unsalted butter. I don't. I just buy butter for us, and that's the way it is. So now we're going to mix this all together. We want it to look like wet sand. You want to get it all incorporated really good. You don't want to see any dry stuff here. Looks like I got me some sugar clumps. I still see some dry stuff in here that I'm really not liking that. So now that we've got that all mixed up and incorporated, get another spatula here. this goodness off the spatula. Okay, I got that good and mixed. It's looking like wet sand. So now what I'm going to do, this out of the way, and I have my springform pan here, and it is actually, I pre-greased the sides and the bottom, and I cut some parchment paper to fit the bottom of the pan. It's just going to make it easier to get the cheesecake out of the off the springform bottom when you're done baking it and it's chilled. So with, I don't want to block you, but I have a hand issue, so I'm just going to dump her. And I've got a measuring cup that I'm going to push this in. I want to push it in and up the sides, as far as almost all the way up the sides. Make sure I got the bottom all covered. Okay, that's looking good. Alright, that's looking good. I'm going to pat this down a little bit more on the bottom. If I can move some stuff over, because I got a little spot there, right there now. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our crust prepared and ready to go. I'm going to put it in the oven and I'm going to bake it for about 8 to 10 minutes. And then I'm going to pull it out and set it aside, and then we can get started with the filling part. So we get this in the oven. Get my timer set. And we'll be back in a moment. Let me get you all set up to get the filling going. Okay, so the first part of the recipe, we're going to get our eggs, our vanilla, and our lemon juice in a bowl here. Let me get a whisk out. We're going to whisk this together, and then we're going to just set it aside. And that'll come a little bit later. And I have to thank Drew and Dawn for the eggs. These are farm fresh eggs that they give us. They like the chickens, they don't like the eggs, go figure. So let me move this over here. Try not to make it too dizzy. I may have to refocus this. Yep. Let me refocus you. It's not going to do it that way, so there we go. So I got you focused. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on a low speed. I got my food processor up. I'm going to turn it on a low speed, and then I'm going to let it go for about 30 seconds just to get it softened more and cream together. Looks like I'm going to be scraping down the sides. Crazy. Everything wants to go to the blender, the beater itself. Let me turn this on again. There we go, it's softening up now. Okay, so that's about good enough. So now what we're going to do, scrape this stuff down. And to this we're going to add the sugar and the cornstarch. So I got the sugar right here. Add that in. And I got cornstarch. Again, we're going to do this on a low speed to incorporate it. Let me scrape this down a little bit more. It's really not a good angle for a close-up to get you guys. Okay. So we're going to turn this on low again and let the sugar and the cornstarch incorporate in there. Okay, now that we've got that mixed in, I'm going to turn it on low again. I want to scrape the sides down really good. Try to get this off my spatula. Scrape down the sides. All the way around. I want to make sure I get all that goodness in there. Sorry, I got my back to you, everybody. When I got a tiny kitchen, it doesn't really want to offer an opportunity to get any other angles on me. So I'm going to turn this back on low, and I'm going to start pouring in my egg mixture. Give it 3 good pours. And now I'm going to stop it for a minute and scrape again. I want to make sure it gets good mixed. And it is starting to break up a little bit more. You get that side of the bowl. There we go. Up there. Okay, turn it on again and we're going to let this mix. Doesn't look that pretty, but when it gets all baked, it's going to look pretty and it's going to taste pretty. While we're waiting, I gotta get the crust out of the oven. Oh, get both. Two. Please don't tell me I burn it. No, I did not. Almost. Okay, now that we've got it incorporated, I'm going to go ahead and drop this. Take my beater off. Much as I can, and I'm going to scrape down the sides here. Take my bowl off of here. Move that out of the way. There we go. Scrape the sides down really good. And now I'm gonna add the sour cream. I'm gonna fold the sour cream in. I know it looks kind of lumpy and bumpy, but it'll bake fine. So here we go. Hope this isn't blurry for you. The lighting in here isn't that great. I had to shut the curtains because it was too bright outside. Can you believe I'm saying that? Okay, so get this all folded in very nicely. Okay, so that's our filling. We're going to wait a little bit for the crust to cool down, and I will be back to put it all together. So hang with me, folks. Okay, now we got our crust cooled. So before I pour anything into the crust itself, I got a couple of pieces of aluminum foil here. And I'm going to wrap it around the outside of this because we're going to cook this in water in the oven, and I don't want anything to leak in through the springform pan in case it doesn't fit tightly. So I'm going to do that first. Move this stuff out of the way. Put my foil down here. There we go. I'm just going to bring it up around the pan. And I apologize, my hands aren't working that great these days. Somebody played a cruel trick on me, and I inherited my dad's DNA with asthma and my mom's DNA with rheumatoid arthritis, and I haven't seen a rheumatologist yet, so we're working on that. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to add my filling to my crust. Hopefully I was worried I was blocking you guys. Alright. Get all that goodness out of the pan. There we go. Set this aside. And I got my water boiling right now. Out of camera shot. I'm going to turn the power off on that because it's good and boiling now. And I got my filling in here, and I want to give it a couple of good bangs to knock some of the air out of it. And I'm going to sit it here in this pan. It's a very tight fit, but this pan should do nicely and bake it well. So now I'm going to get one of my measuring cups here, and I'm going to add the boiling water around it. You want about an inch up the side of the pan. So you got a good hot water bath going. Put it on this this side too. And that should just about do it. We'll give it one more scoop. That'll do it. So now what I'm going to do is the oven's set. I baked the crust at 350 for 10 minutes and then I reduced the heat to 305 degrees, and now I'm going to bake it for about 40 minutes. With my oven, I will keep an eye on it because my oven is, if I don't have the temperature set high enough, it bakes lower and it doesn't get done properly. So I got it set at 310, but it'll probably be around 3.8, 3.7 that it'll bake at. So now I'm going to pop this in the oven. And we will be back in about 40 minutes to see the final product. Okay, so I've got the cheesecake in the oven and I'm going to bake it for 1 hour and 40 minutes at 305 degrees. Now my oven, I have to set it at 310 because it seems to bake lower than I would like. So after about 1 hour and 30 minutes, I'm going to check it just to make sure that it is baking properly. And I will open the oven door ajar after I shut the oven off and let it sit in there for about 1 hour. And that is because that water that it is sitting in is going to be very, very, very hot, and I don't want to burn myself. After 1 hour, then I'll pull it out. I'll set it on the counter and let it cool. And once it's cooled to room temperature, I will cover it and put it in the refrigerator overnight, and it'll be ready tomorrow. So while we're baking, I'll let you go for a little bit and we'll be back and we will check it out after it's done. We'll see you in a little bit, folks. Okay, everybody, the cheesecake has been baked. It's been in the oven for 1 hour. And I'm getting ready to take it out so I can let it cool to room temperature and put it in the refrigerator overnight. So give me a second here. This is going to be a 2-stage process. Oh yeah. Make sure I can get some of this foil off of here. And we're going to pick it up and pull it out anyway. So hopefully I can get it out of here without dropping it. Alright. And here we go. It's steaming up a little bit over on the camera here, but it's cool enough. So I'm going to pull this foil down. And now I'm going to let it finish off and cool to room temperature. And put it in the refrigerator overnight, and then tomorrow all that's left to do is to take a picture and serve it up. So I really appreciate y'all coming along. Hope you can try this recipe out. It is really good. Great cheesecake. Can't beat it. So with that being said, I want to wish you all a blessed evening, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks for coming along.